Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to the very first installment of the View Askew Review Series, where, as you see from the intro there, something a little different we're doing for this series in particular, we are talking about all the View Askew universe, if you will, Kevin Smith films that have been releasing since 1994, with this film that we're going to be mainly talking about today, Clerks, his debut film as a director. And a lot of us Kevin Smith fans know the backstory of the film and all that good jazz. But before we get into some of that goodness right there, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background on myself as a Kevin Smith fan. So when it comes to me as a Kevin Smith fan, I've been a fan of his ever since my middle school days. And the person, or one of the people that introduced it to me, was none other than one of our fellow Fandom Frequency members, Anthony, aka Skippy, as I always call him. And we met back in the day, back in like 6th, 7th grade and everything. And I met him and his two brothers. And at the time, we would hang out all the time, you know what I'm saying, just being kids. And they saw they saw Clerks 2 right before I did. And they introduced Clerks 2 to me. And just doing a quick fact check here so I don't look like a dumbass that doesn't know what he's talking about here. Let me see what year Clerks 2 came out real quick. Let's see here. So Clerks 2 was 2006. Yes, that makes perfect sense. So I saw it around the spring or summer of 2007 or 2008. And then after that, I knew about the first Clerks film, but being a dumbass that was young at the time, I was like, oh, the first one's in black and white? I don't want to watch no black and white shit. All I like is Universal Monster movies. Fuck the rest. I was being naive, didn't check out the original film, but the next one that I actually watched was Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Let me get a nickel bag.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh. My jungle love, yeah. Oh, we oh. I think I wanna know ya, yeah, what?
And I watched that in my in the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school, thanks to my buddy Chris. Shout out to him. And I'm gonna get the link for his podcast and drop that in the description of this video, just to give a little love to him. And he's one of the main reasons why I got into these movies, because he's the one that made me aware that there were other Kevin Smith films. So from there, I jumped into all the rest, and everything else is history. But with no further ado, we're going to get into this original Clerks film, guys. And the whole reason why it was black and white at the time, back in the 90s when Kevin Smith was shooting this film, was because, obviously, as you can tell from the film itself, low budget. And he ended up having to max out all of his credit cards just to get the funding and the resources, or to get the resources and the funding to make the film. And he was writing about the job that he actually currently had as a clerk at a convenience store. And I'm not sure if he used the exact convenience store he worked in or used an alternate one. I'm not entirely sure on that fact. I'll have to look that up and kind of drop that in the video here to kind of fact check that. I forgot to look that up. But just being transparent with y'all, he just went the full DIY route. It was a full-on, independently made film. He got some of his friends and acting colleagues and people he met in school and whatnot and things like that. They got together and created this, almost, I would say, comedy masterpiece in a certain sense when it comes to the Clerks films, and birthed the new View Askew universe that Kevin Smith ended up creating and being so successful with all these years later. And this film came out in 94, as I stated earlier. So it's as old as I am. So it's literally, I'm going on 28, but since it's 94, technically it's 2022, 28 years for the film. And I'm literally pretty much the same age as the movie, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, that I'm such a fan of this film, and it's carried on for nearly 30 years and still plays so well today and holds up immensely. And for those of you that are new to these films, you know what I'm saying, it is definitely right in the era of the stoner slacker type things that are going on with like Days of Confused, the stoner kind of slacker mentality with like, grunge, rock and roll kind of attitude, all these different things going on at the time. So it definitely played well to the audience that it was going for, which was the Gen X, the young generation of the time. But it just plays so well because it's just universal themes and humor and things that humans go through. And as all young people are trying to discover themselves and figure out what they want to do with their lives, just like the main characters in this movie, Dante and Randall who works at the video store, and Dante who works at the quick stop convenience store. Especially Dante, he's so jaded with where he is in life and just doesn't feel fulfilled and complains about his job. But at the same time, he's so settled in his comfort zone, he's literally afraid to break out of that and to go in a new direction and find something that he really loves, whether that's going to school or getting a trade or creating something from the ground up. He's not willing to actually take a risk, and he's not brave enough to admit that he's afraid. You know what I'm saying? Because that's true bravery right there, when you're scared to do something, but you're willing to step up and get it done anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's really what bravery is, because no person on this planet doesn't experience fear. You know what I mean? It's just how you deal with it and overcome it is what marks a true brave person, not just a brave man, but a brave woman and anything in between. You know what I'm saying? So I love that whole arc and setup that's going on for Dante straight from the beginning of the movie, and he's just like, I'm tired. I'm not even supposed to be there today. I have a hockey game. Like, I don't want to go into work. You know what I'm saying? And I can relate to that as a young adult right now, working a 9 to 5. I can totally relate to that, man, where you really cherish those off days and want to, have fun and carry out those plans that you made with your friends and family and your loved ones and people you care about, because that's the real life that you're trying to live, right? Jobs are just a way of making that money, and it's not something that you're necessarily passionate about, but you got to go clock in and get the shit done. So he goes in on his only day off, and he's not even supposed to be there today. He picks up the extra shift, and then he ends up getting stuck there all day because of all this madness that goes on with his boss, leaving to Vermont and not telling anybody. Randall comes in a half hour late to the video store to open up. He's messing with customers waiting to get in there to rent videos, and he just has a devil-may-care, I don't give a fuck attitude, and he's completely content with being a slacker and knows exactly where he is in life and has no shame in his game, as they say, whatsoever. And I love that about Randall. You know what I'm saying? He's so real, and maybe a little too real and a little too blunt sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But he's so real and upfront with people. I really do genuinely appreciate that. And he has a lot of love for Dante, with them being childhood friends, going to high school together. And since they're 22, they're just about the age a lot of people would kind of be if you went in to college directly after high school, around the time they'd be graduating, or people would be starting to get into school, working their way in there, kind of working their way towards graduation at that point, kind of have a career set. That's kind of the expectations you get as a young person, even today, and especially back then with, the whole tradition of it all. And, but he doesn't have any shame in his game. He fucks with the customers. He tells them exactly what he thinks about them. Even some of the people that don't necessarily deserve that, which, I do think Randall can definitely be a dick, but I do like how he lets the dumb customers know, like, you want some bullshit, get the fuck out of here. I definitely love that, and I love just the way that he doesn't care and just messes with him, but yet again, he can get away with it. You know what I'm saying? So I just love that whole thing. And they have so many funny conversations throughout this film, and that's really the fun and the charm of this film. Really, is just real people having real conversation, doing some very trivial stuff. It's a slice of life, almost coming of age type movie. You know what I'm saying? And I really dig that. And that was definitely very much more prevalent back then in the 90s and the 80s and even the 70s. And it's definitely not something you see as much today. And these type of films are something that I've always appreciated and been a fan of. And if I was actually a filmmaker in that kind of way and in that light, that's probably the type of film I would want to get into the game with, and something I would want to create. It's just a slice of life coming of age movie where it's just real people dealing with real issues with a little heightened comedy and scenarios every now and then, just to make the film a little more entertaining and to make it a film, because it ain't a documentary. You know what I'm saying? But I just love that whole slice of life approach to this film. And the black and white element actually doesn't really date this movie and actually kind of gives it a cool, retro, unique type vibe, but has sensibilities that do play to a more modern audience. You know what I'm saying? Because we're the generation that grew up right as this film was dropping. So it does play well to it because we are part of the, we're not too much younger than the people that were making the film necessarily. We're maybe like 20 some years younger, so there's not like this huge disconnect as it is with like maybe the world's greatest generation or even the generation before that. You know what I mean? So it still plays well to the millennial audience and maybe even Gen Z. Like I think it all plays well because we've only gotten raunchier ever since. And this film definitely gets raunchy, you know what I'm saying? And I always love that with Kevin Smith's dialogue. Like, he just goes so over the top sometimes, like, 36 dicks? You suck 36 dicks?
36?
What? Something like 36?
Lower your voice.
Wait, what is that anyway? Something like 36. Does that include me?
37.
I'm 37?
Going to class.
What am I? 37? And then the guy comes up to check out. Do you know my girlfriend have sucked 37 dicks? And then she gets all upset. Like, come on, Dante, calm down a little bit. But yeah, 36 is quite a lot of dicks to have been sucked, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna give out my body count, but, it's pretty high. It's pretty high. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm not talking about sucking dick, y'all. Don't start thinking dirty, all right? Well, your boy doesn't roll that way, and God bless you if you do, but just don't want to misconstrue, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, just moving on, guys. Just fucking around. But yeah, man, I just love so much of the funny, like crude, like just raunchy humor. You know what I'm saying? I'm part of the generation that grew up with American Pie, Superbad. You know what I'm saying? Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin, all these different raunchy comedies, Sex Drive, Step Brothers. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely plays well to me and people of my age group and stuff like that, and people that just have that type of sense of humor, and not necessarily just my age group, but anyone with that sense of humor can definitely appreciate this film. And for those of you that are already fans of it, know exactly what I'm talking about. And the humor works so fucking well. Almost like every joke, every bit, everything lands with this movie. And the setups and the what do they call them when it comes back around? The callbacks and the payoffs to certain bits and jokes that are going on throughout the film are just timeless and hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole I eat cock thing and the whole like what was the other thing? Like I'm thinking about a different Kevin Smith movie. Never mind. I almost said something else. But there's just some really funny bits that come back around. And the whole conversation about Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi after Randall just watched it at the video store. And he's like, I don't feel right about those rebels blowing up that damn thing, man.
It was manned by the Imperial Army. The only people on board were stormtroopers, dignitaries, Imperials.
Basically.
So when they blew it up, no problem. Evil's punished.
And the second time around?
The second time around, it wasn't even done being built yet. It was still under construction.
So
a construction job of that magnitude would require a hell of a lot more manpower than the Imperial Army had to offer. I bet they brought independent contractors in on that thing. Plumbers, aluminum siders, roofers.
Not just Imperials, is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. And
There's a bunch of independent contractors on that thing. And then the guy that's overhearing the conversation in the store, he's like, you mind if I meddle in for a minute? I'm a roofer and da-da-da-da-da. And he's working he could have worked for this mobster and he didn't, and his friend did and got shot and all this stuff. And he's like, and a true roofer thinks with his heart, thinks with his mind, thinks with his brain, and not his wallet. And I love this whole fucking debate they're having over the severity and the moral quandary over the fact that the rebels blew up the second Death Star before it was even finished and all this shit. I just love how it's just such nerdy conversations. You know what I'm saying? And I just dig that as a nerd myself. And all of us nerds out there, we definitely have these very long, overdrawn conversations about this type of stuff, and we really dig deep and analyze all these different things going on throughout the film and whatnot. So I always dig that, of course. And yeah, man, there's just so much fun to be had with this movie. And just the introduction and the idea and the execution of the side characters of Jay and Silent Bob.
Kill the bass player, kill both bass players. This song is so hip right now, I'm going deaf. I want to
need some tits and ass, yeah!
Kill the 3 times bass expansion unit. One bus will kill a drummer, you can't play. One bus will
are so like wacky and hilarious and damn near offensive and just over the top. I absolutely love it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just really find I forget his last name, but I just really find Jay and Kevin Smith so funny as Silent Bob. Just his mannerisms as Silent Bob, and he really has gone so much further with it over the course of his films throughout the years in the View Askew universe. And I love the way that he's kind of grown and developed the character and done different things with him, and he's kind of evolved over the course of the different films. And depending on when certain films come out, they'll kind of address it that way too. So I like how Jay and Silent Bob do grow with the times without losing the essence of what makes those characters who they are. They may say things that are edgy or things that may offend you or things that may be stupid and ignorant to say. But then some people in the more modern ones will check him and be like, hey, I don't know if you should say that. Or Jay would be like, I don't know if I should say this, but da-da-da-da-da, and all this stuff. So I love how Kevin Smith has been so witty with the way that he keeps these characters in his world true to heart, but he does adapt with the times and kind of look at things in a different light and understand that he has to grow with the times. And having a daughter of the new generation in his daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, he has to kind of learn to adapt, but he knows for a fact that you can't be overly sensitive. You got to push the envelope because that's what humor and comedy especially is for. And art in general is for expression and to push the boundaries and to see what you can do. It's not about offending people on purpose, but it's just about doing you, and people should allow you to have that freedom. And that's just something I personally believe in. I believe everyone has the right to be offended, but I do think it's fun to cut loose and just push those boundaries, man, and make you feel a little uncomfortable. That's kind of what comedy is for. At least that's the way I've been taught, the way it's been and the way I understand it, you know. And I think that really rings true here in the Clerks films. I really don't think it's anything that's too offensive or too over the top, at least for most people that look at things and kind of can make that disconnect between just something funny and not meant to be taken in such a serious negative light, you know what I'm saying? So I just really dig the humor, and I really love that, and I think that it still plays well today in this modern climate, regardless of it being back in the mid-90s. I think it still does play well today and definitely has aged well, which is why we're getting a Clerks 3, which is the whole genesis for the idea of doing this review series right here. We're going to be reviewing each of the View Askew universe films leading up to the release of Clerks 3 in September. I believe it's September 15th. Me and the boys are going to get our heads together and plan it out and try to get tickets real soon so we can make sure that we're there for the limited theatrical run one way or another, whether it's on the Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob tour or just one of the theatrical theater dates in our local area. So we're definitely going to make sure we get out and check out Clerks 3. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Just a little preview of what's to come. So we're going to be doing all the View Askew movies leading up to that. And we'll get more into that in a little bit, but just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a preview there. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show because we're going to be giving you a little more details about all that good jazz. But continuing on with this current review of Clerks, like I said, man, I just absolutely love it. And the whole character arc and journey that Dante and Randall go on as friends and as individuals, in the way that Dante is almost playing his current girlfriend for his old ex-girlfriend who was always cheating on him back in high school and wasn't really good to him, really, whereas modern girlfriend is good to him, you know what I'm saying, and is really great and really wants to support him and does truly and genuinely care for him, and he's busy over here trying to get with this other bitch, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying she's a bitch, not Vanessa, but the other girl, I'm forgetting her, Caitlin. You know, his current girlfriend, Vanessa, that is a woman. That is a great person right there. And that's what you want when you're out there, you know, when, us guys out there that are trying to get that special lady. That's what you want. Someone that's going to support you and be there for you and challenge you. You know what I mean? So I really love that with that character of Vanessa and having that as a big part of Dante's journey as a character and really learning to discover himself and find himself. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. And he has a great dynamic with both of the girls, both the women or whatever. So I do think that the chemistry with those two actresses and everything and the way that that plays together, you really buy into the little love triangle that's going on. And the way that Randall kind of like breaks bro code and pretty much tells her what he's pretty much doing. But he doesn't realize that Dante's about to change his mind and not break up with Vanessa for Caitlin, you know? But he doesn't realize that because Randall doesn't realize that Dante changed his mind, and Randall just be running his mouth and getting carried away because he doesn't think before he speaks or acts a lot of the time. And then that ends up getting him into trouble with Vanessa, and then he ends up losing her and then he's all left alone now, and they end up getting into this big-ass brawl in the store, and then their dumbasses have to clean it up because they're stuck there all day and have to close shop. And it's just so funny, but it's just, you know, how you have those moments with your homies, man, where you be butting heads and having that beef, but you come together and realize where each other are wrong, where you're right, where you can compromise and come together in the middle. And that's real friendship right there. And I just love how they do come together in the middle, have a little bit of fun, poke some fun at each other. But Randall does get to a lot of truths, and so does Dante a little bit too. So I love how they definitely push each other and definitely get in each other's face and won't beat around the bush when they really need to get to
the
it.
real tragedy about all this is, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, pal. Jesus, there you go, trying to pass the buck. I'm the source of all your misery. Who closed the store to play hockey? Who closed the store to go to a wake? Who tried to win back his ex-girlfriend without even discussing how he felt with his present one? You want to blame somebody? Blame yourself.
And I really appreciate that and can relate to that with a lot of my close friends and a lot of my close homies, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely really dig that and thought that these actors in David O'Halloran, and I forget the other guy's name, but yeah, I really just love how these actors bring Randall and Dante to life, and you really buy in to their friendship, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not really sure if they were friends before this particular film, and I promise I'll do a little more research going into these next few films, guys. I just got excited about this and wanted to dive into it, so I just watched the film and did this review and everything. But it's really a lot of fun, guys. I can't recommend this film, Clerks, enough to anyone that's a comedy fan, especially if you like really silly, like really wacky, more raunchy, but somewhat real and grounded comedies. I think this is definitely for you. And for all my fellow Kevin Smith fans, drop your ranking of all the View Askew movies in particular. Not Red State, not Tusk, none of those. Just his View Askew movies. And just a little bit of more details about our View Askew movie review series. You might see some other of the homies pop into this thing. I might not be doing them all solo, and we're definitely going to have a group of us together to do Clerks 3. But coming up soon, pretty much every week, just about until Clerks 3 comes out, unless I get real busy with some other personal stuff, I should be able to do or have on the channel one way or another, group or solo wise. We should have another review in the View Askew series dropping just about every week or so leading up to Clerks 3. So next week, by the time you guys see this video, by the following week, you should see our Mallrats review. And then right after that, we're going to be getting into Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, of course. And that's going to drop right before we get into none other than Clerks 3, guys. But thank you for checking out this review. If you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate you. But as long as you stuck around for a few minutes, we got the view. So thank you very much. Make sure you click the like and subscribe button, please. We really do appreciate it around here. It really does help the show immensely. And we're just trying to grow this community, guys, and grow together, create together, and create opportunities to get other people's art out there. So make sure you reach out if you're interested in maybe getting on the show or promoting something or have some artwork or want to collab or work on anything. If you do, you know, commissions and are artists, man, we're always looking for some dope artwork and some different ways to expand what we do creatively here on the channel. And if you make music or do anything, man, and you're interested in collabing with us or want to work on something, we are so open to it. Hit us up over there on Instagram, Twitter. Hit us up on the Gmails and everything. All that information is going to be in the description below. So thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this review, guys. We got so much more stuff coming. And I am so happy that I am a Kevin Smith fan. I discovered these films. I haven't had a chance to meet the man yet, but I hope I do someday because I'm such a fan of his work. And I know a lot of you guys watching this are too. So let's have fun and let's keep digging even deeper into this View Askew review series. So until next time, guys, stay tuned and don't sleep. Snoochie Boochies.